Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1562B, and today's date is May 7th, 2018, and the title of the episode is Prepare Yourself, Deep State Narrative Falling Apart. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, we are entering very troubled times because the deep state, they are being called out on pretty much everything, and their narrative is falling apart. And if their narrative falls apart, guess what? They're going to make a move. And this is why in the title I said prepare yourself, because what we are seeing right now is that Mueller's case is literally falling apart. Even though the corporate media is not presenting it that way, if you look really closely at what is happening, you can see that things, well, they're not going well. And remember, I talked about propaganda. Propaganda works really, really well until you have to show proof. That's when it starts to fall apart because, yeah, you can point fingers, you can say things, you can bring charges against someone, but when a lawyer or a judge or anyone says, can you show me the proof? Can you show me the evidence that you have that where you made this decision on what you're saying? And if you can't present it, the propaganda falls apart. And this is what we're seeing right now. It's almost like with Syria, with the chemical gas attacks and things like that. You know, when they say, can we see the proof? And they can't hand it over, that's how you know. Now, 3 separate judges have rendered harsh setbacks to the Mueller investigation, demanding, if you can believe it, facts and evidence to back up the special counsel's claims. And they want unredacted format. They want evidence. They want all the information on how he came to his conclusions. Now, federal Judge Emmett G. Sullivan ordered Mueller's team to turn over any exculpatory evidence to Flynn's defense. Now, the judge invoked the Brady Rule, which requires prosecutors to turn over previously unfiled evidence that it might have a material impact on a defendant's case. 2 days before Sullivan issued the order, Mueller filed a motion for a protective order regarding the use of evidence in the case, including sensitive materials, which would be provided to Flynn's lawyers by the office of the special counsel. We also know that the FBI agents who interviewed Flynn, one of whom was anti-Trump counterintelligence Peter Strzok, did not think Flynn was lying to them, and we discussed this before. James Comey was recently caught lying about it himself. A leaked transcript of the heated exchange between attorney Michael Dreeben and Eastern District of Virginia Judge T.S. Ellis reveals that the entire Manafort case is in jeopardy if the special counsel doesn't produce an unredacted copy of the original order from Deputy A.G. Rod Rosenstein authorizing the original investigation. Now, Ellis also said that Mueller shouldn't have unfettered power to prosecute Manafort for charges that have nothing to do with collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian. The judge also noted that the special counsel's indictment against Manafort doesn't mention, number 1, Russian individuals, number 2, Russian banks, number 3, Russian money, number 4, Russian payments to Manafort. Last week's ruling by federal judge Dabney Friedrich, a Trump appointee, denied Mueller a trial delay over the high-profile February indictment of 13 Russians. Now, this is where it gets really crazy. Remember, Mueller accused the 13 Russian nationals and 3 Russian entities, one of which was Concord Management. Well, guess what? Concord Management decided to fight it. And Mueller, he probably didn't see this coming at all, because he knew that these individuals were in Russia, and it would look like it was great headlines, and it would look like it had something to do with Russia, and now they're fighting back. Concord could now force prosecutors to turn over discovery about how the case was assembled, as well as evidence that might undermine the prosecution's theories. Mueller's team tried to say that Concord never formally accepted the court summons related to the case. the Russians hit back against Mueller's attempt to delay, filing a response on Friday to let the court know that Concord voluntarily appeared through a counsel as provided for in the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure and further intends to enter a plea of not guilty. Concord has not sought a limited appearance, nor has it moved to quash the summons. As such, the briefing sought by the special counsel's motion is ped forgery. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means a lawyer whose methods are petty, underhanded, or disreputable. And that's exactly what Mueller has been doing. A federal judge has rejected special counsel Robert Mueller's request to delay the first court hearing in a criminal case charging 3 Russian companies and 13 Russian citizens with using social media and other means to foment strife among Americans in advance of the 2016 U.S. presidential election. In a brief order Saturday evening, U.S. District Court Judge Dabney Friedrich offered no explanation of her decision to deny a request prosecutors made Friday to put off the scheduled Wednesday arraignment for Concord Management and Consulting, one of the 3 firms charged in the case. In other words, Mueller was just denied the opportunity to kick the can down the road. It's all coming down around them. Why? Because they have no real proof. It was all propaganda from the beginning, and when they start to ask for real hard evidence and the methods used to get the evidence and to present the evidence, that's where propaganda falls apart. And this is exactly what we're seeing. We see that former FBI Director James Comey, we found out that he often removed sensitive national security documents from the FBI headquarters and stored documents at his home. And guess what? You're not allowed to do that. Of course, he's out there saying, well, I made copies of them, and I didn't realize that was not part of the requirements of classified information. He knows exactly the law. He knows exactly what he can and cannot do. And 18 U.S. Code, Section 1924 stipulates, whoever, being an officer, employee, contractor, or consultant of the United States, and by virtue of his office, employment, position, or contract becomes possessed of documents or materials containing classified information of the United States, knowingly removes such documents or materials without the authority, without the intent to retain such documents or materials at an unauthorized location, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 5 years or both. And we see right now that he knew exactly what was going on. And again, he was dealing with the Clinton emails. She was trading in classified information. So we can see why they were trying to keep this under the table where no one wanted to talk about it. But now it's all coming out, and we're starting to see that everything is closing in around them, and they are in big trouble right now. Now we're starting to see some propaganda come out of North Korea where Kim Jong-un supposedly, and I think this is coming from the deep state, saying, listen, Trump better lay off, or, something bad's going to happen with these peace deals. It might not go forward. And I think what's happening right now is that the date of the summit is coming up, and I think the deep state might be prepared to do something to maybe disrupt this whole entire thing, because they don't like what is happening. They don't want peace. They want war. And I think they might try something during this period. And I think this is why we're seeing this little bit of propaganda come out, where all of a sudden we have a message. And of course, this is the corporate media. Who controls the corporate media? The deep state. You don't really know if this is what's really being said, which is most likely not the case. And we can see right now that they might be pushing this because they're broadcasting what they're going to do. They might try some type of an event during this summit to try to push this war. So we can see right now that things might start to happen, because we can see the whole Mueller case is starting to implode on it. The whole Russian collusion is starting to implode, and things are not going well at all. Trump lashed out at John Kerry. We know that John Kerry, basically, he's using shadow diplomacy. He's trying to go behind Trump's back and make deals, keep everyone on the up and up, and trying to keep everything they have together, because once everything starts to unravel and you find out who's really involved in these things, that's when things start to fall apart. And this is not for peace. This is not because they made great deals. This is because they're laundering money. They're involved in criminal activity. They were trying to push a war with the Uranium One deal, and they were trying to pin it on Russia. And we can see right now they're getting all caught up in it. And Kerry has been meeting with Europe, German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, EU official Federica Mogherini, French President Macron. He's meeting with many other diplomats, trying to keep this deal together and trying to keep everything together. The same goes with Obama, and actually Q did mention this. Why are these individuals using shadow diplomacy? Why are they talking to all of these people and discussing these issues when really they're not supposed to? Because you have to remember, this is in violation of the Logan Act. And Trump was out there saying that the United States does not need John Kerry's possibly illegal shadow diplomacy on the very badly negotiated Iran deal. And Trump explained why. Very simply, he was the one that created the mess in the first place. And again, he didn't go into detail, but within the Iran deal, we know there's other deals that are shielded from the American people because of national security. No, it's really to protect them from their criminal activity. Now, Congress has called for the immediate arrest of John Kerry after the evidence emerged that he ran a shadow government in order to save the Iran deal. The chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, David Nunes, is calling for the former Secretary of State to be charged for violating the Logan Act. And once again, when you read the Logan Act, this is what it says. Section 953, private correspondence with foreign governments. Any citizen, and now he is a citizen of the United States, wherever he may be, who, without authority of the United States, directly or indirectly commences or carries on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government or any officer or agent thereof, with intent to influence the measures or conduct any foreign government or of any officer or agent thereof in relation to any disputes or controversies with the United States, or to defeat the measures of the United States, shall be fined under this title or in prison not more than 3 years or both. This section shall not abridge the right of a citizen to apply himself or his agent to any foreign government or the agents thereof for redress of any injury which he may have sustained from such government or any of its agents or subjects. So who has the authority? Constitutional authority for foreign relations. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the United States Constitution includes the Treaty Clause, which empowers the President of the United States to propose and chiefly negotiate agreements, which must be confirmed by the Senate between the United States and other countries, which become treaties between the United States and other countries after the advice and consent of the supermajority of the United States Senate. The President shall have power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided two-thirds of the senators present concur. And we see under United States v. Curtis Wright, 299 U.S. 304, 1936, Justice Sutherland, writing the court, observed, "The President alone hath the power to speak or listen as a representative of the nation. He makes treaties with the advice and consent of the Senate, but he alone negotiates." That's it. John Kerry is in violation. Obama is in violation. And this is why Nunes is out there saying, hey, we should do something. Now, no one has really been brought up on charges on the Logan Act. No one has really gone to prison under the Logan Act. But it is there to stop individuals. And we can see we might have to have someone prosecuted under this law, finally, because they are not helping the situation. They're trying to keep what they have intact. Now, how do you know when the deep state is in trouble? Well, the deep state usually speaks in black and white. It's almost like a Sith. If you've ever seen Star Wars, they only know two sides, black or white. And there's no gray areas. And we can see right now, Trump deals in gray areas. John Kerry, Obama, Clinton, the rest, no gray areas. Macron, Netanyahu, no gray areas. Putin deals in gray areas. It's either, the deep state is either our way or that's it. And when you hear individuals say, if something happens, something else bad will happen, you know they're part of the deep state. Macron is out there saying, listen, if you get rid of the Iranian deal, we're going to have war. Deep state. Because, again, if you get rid of what we've done and you expose us, we will start a war. Israel is saying, if Assad doesn't go, we will destroy him. These are deep state players. Nikki Haley, if Russia doesn't stop, we'll go to war with Russia. Deep state player. If Assad uses chemical weapons, we will destroy him. Deep state player. This is how you know. Because they do it every single time. And right now, they are so nervous and afraid. They don't want anyone looking into the Iran deal. They don't want it being brought up. They don't want it to be investigated. They don't want Congress to look at it. They want none of this. This is why they're so protective of all of this. Now, Trump is going to make his decision on the Iran nuclear deal. What is it going to be? I don't know. But he's going to make some type of an announcement. And we'll have to wait. And I think this is going to come Tuesday. Now, France is saying they no longer insist on Assad's resignation because they started to realize that there's no way we can get Assad out of there. Why? Because he has the country. The people like him. The people have voted for him. The refugees are coming back into the country. And the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, the moderate rebels, Syrian Democratic Forces, and the rest, they're being ousted. It's almost game over in Syria. Because right now, we see massive gatherings of the rebels, family members. They are leaving northern Homs. They're leaving Damascus. They're leaving the Yarmouk area. They're leaving all of these areas. They've brought in buses. They're giving them passage out of this area. This whole thing is coming to an end. The entire fight in Syria is coming to an end. The Syrian armed forces, the Russian armed forces, the Iranian armed forces, they've made huge gains in Syria. They are liberating town after town after town. The moderate rebels and the rest, all the terrorist forces, they have nothing left. The funding to the White Helmets has come to an end. The support for the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, the Kurds, their army, the moderate rebel training, all of it has come to an end. The whole thing has come to an end, which means there's no reason for the U.S. to be in Syria. Now, once again, we can see how the deep state is reacting to all of this. Now, think about this. We have the shadow diplomacy where Obama, Kerry, and others have been going around trying to keep everything together. We have the Mueller case completely falling apart. They're asking for real evidence, real proof. Mueller can't present any of that. He has nothing. His whole entire case is falling apart. Q has already said that Manafort is a plant. They were never going to get him on anything. They were going to let him go. They were hoping to use him to find other people, to make headlines. Same thing with Carter Page. And all of that is falling apart. Even with the Russians, with the indictment, that is falling apart. Because once you ask for evidence, the propaganda falls apart. So all they have left right now is an event. They might try something in North Korea. They're already broadcasting their propaganda that something bad might happen in North Korea if Trump continues on, bad-mouthing Kim Jong-un and whatever they're saying. And once again, this deal was already made. This was already made in the background. This is all for show once Trump and Kim Jong-un meet. But again, the deep state, maybe they'll set off a nuclear explosion. Maybe someone will be assassinated. We don't know. But they are becoming very, very desperate because they can see that everything that they were building is falling apart. And I believe once they get this Mueller investigation out of the way, once the peace talks go forward, if there's no event or anything like that, go forward, and then the Syria crisis comes to an end and troops start to come home, I think at that point, we're going to see the indictments of all these other individuals, because we can see the list of people that have been fired, let go, people who are exchanging their testimony to get immunity. I think we're going to see a lot more of this, and I think it looks like we're headed in that direction, unless something happens where the deep state does something gigantic, where they distract the entire world into looking into a different location. And I would believe that type of event would have to be as big as 9/11 or even bigger to really distract from every single thing that's going on. And that's why I'm saying prepare yourself, because it looks like we're headed in that direction. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.